Hello, you're listening to Black Owned with Tim McKain, where we interview Black entrepreneurs, Black community builders, everything Black owned with Tim McKain. Black Owned with Tim McKain, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Main Man, a poet, an entrepreneur, and radio host of the Radio Unfriendly show. How you doing today, sir?
Peace and blessings, man. I'm doing very well. 10 toes down today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When did you fall in love with hip hop?
My first memory of hip hop was Spoonie G, maybe like back in 79, 80. But the first time I actually fell in love with hip hop was the first time I heard the song The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five around 81, 82. I just felt like the message itself was so different than all the music that I had grown up listening. You know, my mother was into disco and R&B and Motown and stuff like that. So when I heard that particular song, it just felt like it was that he was talking directly to me about things that were going on around me at the time.
That's incredible. So what led you to start in poetry and also rap battles? Because you were rap battling, because we were talking before the interview got started, you were doing rap battles in middle school. So what led you to start those rap battles, and what led you to start spoken word and poetry?
I mean, the culture of hip hop is always based on competition. Every one of the elements is based purely on competition. Graffiti artists, they go out and they try to put up the biggest or the illest piece or in the illest place, like, you know, on skyscrapers or trains, and then someone else will try to put up a piece next to it or bigger or better or make their tag iller. Same thing with breakdancers. It's all competition, and you know, the element of rapping is no different. You know, it all was started off with battles back in the day. You know, Kool Moe Dee and Grandmaster Caz and all these legends. They just started off. It was always a competition, and so being in that same vein as a youngster, you know, it was very braggadocious. In middle school, I'm bigger, I'm badder, I'm tougher, I'm rougher. You know, so it just, and also I like lunch money, so I didn't want to spend my lunch money, so I would battle kids for lunch money. My whole premise every day was to see if I could go without spending my own lunch money, just pocket my lunch money back in middle school. So I used to battle for lunch money or whatever, snacks or whatever.
Man, that's incredible. What was it like to be a part, really, of the beginning of hip hop? Because, like you said, your mother was in disco, R&B scene, but here was hip hop that was totally new to the scene. What was the reception like from your perspective, from the older generation, as well as seeing a new style of music that had never been on a level that people had seen before?
Well, I mean, the world as a whole thought that rap music particularly was just going to be a fad. It was going to be in and out. You know, it was going to be around for a couple of years until it went away. Oh, you can't make no money doing that. You know, I remember a rock singer named Blondie. She did a rap song early on, like early 80s. She introduced Fab Five Freddy to the world. I remember the first hip hop movie came out, Wild Style. And later on, Beat Street came out, and people started understanding that this culture was not going to go away, and it was going to become a moneymaker to many people. Sugar Hill came out. People didn't believe in, you know, Sylvia Robinson, and she went out and made one of the most viral songs of all time, you know, based particularly off a disco album, you know. But, you know, the beat is just a loop of the disco album, and they rapped on it for 13 minutes. But like that was like the first commercially known, you know, album that just went worldwide. These guys went from just being on the block to touring in, you know, Germany and Switzerland, and then, you know, Curtis Blow came after that. So it was just a snowball effect. I think nobody really understood the power of it except for the people that was really doing it. You know, people at the block parties or people at the park understood it like years before, you know, the world at large understood it. You know, mixtapes were being like underground. It was like underground messages, like back in the slave days. You know, they used to sing songs and pass messages that the rest of the world didn't know about, when they would sing those songs or make those certain sounds. And it was the same way with hip hop. Like we was passing mixtapes all up and down the East Coast from New York before it became a worldwide phenomenon. So I think the people who knew about it and loved it, you know, in the streets and in the culture, we felt how big it was going to be, but it took a while for the rest of the world to catch on. And my mom was the same way. She was like, oh, this rap hippity hop mess, you know, what are you listening to? And now she can't wait to put on a Heavy D album and start dancing.
Yeah, there was something about rap, you know, especially in the beginning, you know, it's like people were speaking truths in a way where it was like they were speaking their truth from a perspective that had not been highlighted or taught. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, it was like the mainstream media was basically centered on one particular identity, one thought, one sound. That's how I see it. But rap, it really gave a multiple amount of perspectives, like what Ice-T would call reality rap. Throughout the years, hip hop has evolved. What are your thoughts on the evolution of hip hop as well as reality rap? Someone like yourself, who I consider you a reality rap artist. What is your thoughts on the evolution of hip hop?
Well, you know, before hip hop came around, you know, R&B was about love music. Disco was about partying and having fun. So nobody was telling the world about the struggles that the Black community was going to really before rap, except maybe you had Marvin Gaye singing about Mercy, Mercy Me, things of that sort. It was hit and miss, but no genre of music has ever been as blatantly real as hip hop music. So I just believe that the evolution of it went from being a very conscious machine, like Chuck D said it was it's the CNN of the street. This was the way we got news. It taught me so many lessons when I was younger. I was introduced to Farrakhan and you know, 5% ideologies and just knowing about my own self-worth from hip hop lyrics. I made a lot of decisions about the way I moved in the street, from Nas albums to you know, just Black Thought and different just information as a whole. It's crossed every barrier in the world, every race, gender, creed. Everybody can internalize it in the beginning, you know, and then it's like you said, it evolved. It evolved into the gangster rap, into the trap, into the crunk, into all these different variations of the culture. It became it just split into these different subcultures. And rock and roll was the same way. It started off as, you know, as Elvis Presley and all this, and then it became hard rock and indie rock and grunge rock and, you know, soft rock. So all cultures have done that. Jazz has done the same thing. So it's not new, you know, it's something that happens to every musical culture. However, I do believe that without the roots of any tree, the branches are definitely die and fall off. So the only thing that I don't like about the new wave of hip hop is that these youngsters don't have that much respect about where the culture came from. They don't care to know. They don't want to know. They just want to do their own thing. They're all about the money, all about themselves. It's a very self-absorbed industry right now, and I think that's a travesty.
It is. But I think, honestly, it comes down to people not knowing or understanding the history, period, especially our history. Like, you know, I was listening to your spoken word video of the Afro-American Horror Story, and you were detailing our current culture as well as what was happening in the past days. Why do you think teaching our children history, especially Black history, is so important for the advancement of our people?
It's triangulation, man. It's past, present, and future, man. If you don't know where you came from, there's no way you can know where you're going. It's GPS, man. It has to happen. So, and there's a big disconnect from generation to generation. There's a gigantic gap right now, man, which is terrible. So I just, with my platform, with Radio Unfriendly, that's one of the things that I have really tried to encourage is I wanted the youngsters who listen to my show to get these different jewels and gems that I drop with. Today in hip hop history, I do a segment called Today in Hip Hop History. I do a questionnaire sometimes just for entertainment purposes, to both entertain people, but also drop these gems on people to make them think or make them want to do their own investigation on stuff that might interest them. But I think it's terrible that, and I blame myself and everybody in my generation who have dropped the ball when it comes to nurturing the next generation. We just kind of gave up on them because for a lot of reasons. It's just a lot of these youngsters are too deadly. Like it's too much of a deadly situation. They don't want to fight no more. They don't want to take no tutelage in. They just want to shoot. And the system has really engulfed a lot of our younger generation kids, and it's just become hard to reach them and teach them because of that.
Wow. So what led to the creation of your radio show, as well as how important is it for radio producers, radio hosts to put out conscious, realistic rap that promotes our history and also promotes ourselves?
Well, it was tough because, for the longest, I didn't listen to radio because they didn't play a lot of music that spoke to me. Like I am a golden era hip hop lover. So, I'm still listening to old 90s stuff, late 80s stuff. And there's hit and miss acts out here that still have that same kind of feeling, from that same cloth. Like for instance, like Griselda, they're brand new to the game. They've been doing it for 10 years, but their music still has that same feeling that I like. That's that grimy hip hop feeling where they're talking about realness and struggling and coming up and doing what they got to do, hustling, doing what they got to do to make ends meet. So, I like a balance of intellectual hip hop and also street wise hip hop. But the reason I started the whole radio show, like I said, was because there was nothing on the radio for me. And I kept me and the people who I admire, a lot of my friends, my brothers, we just always talked about how come we don't, there's nothing out there promoting the stuff that we like. So, I was always taught if you can't find it, then create it, So that's what I went out and did. I started off at a different station, and that station kind of went through a little transition. So I did an interview at this station, and I asked the station manager when I was here for my interview, did they have any urban programming? And he was like, nah, but we're looking for it. And I've been here this is my third season here now. So it's a beautiful thing.
Congratulations. So where can people listen to your work? Where can they listen to the radio show at?
The radio show is called Radio Unfriendly. It's on all the streaming platforms. You can just Google Radio Unfriendly. It's on iHeartRadio. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. You can also go to the actual radio station website, WHUP 104.7 FM, right here in the Durham area as well as local at. But you can also click the link on the website and listen to it live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. You can also go to any of the like iTunes, tune in on. You can just Google it or look it up on your Amazon Prime, little Fire Stick or anything. We out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you were in that area, the golden era of hip hop. Now, as a historian, you know that hip hop was created by African Americans. We owned hip hop. Right. Do we own hip hop the same way that we did back then? And if not, how do we buy back hip hop to benefit our community better?
That's another reason, like I said, we got to know our past in order to affect our present and our future. We have owned every musical genre that's ever came out. You know what I mean? Jazz. We owned jazz at one time, and then these other ethnicities have come in with the money and just took it over. Same thing with rock and roll. Same thing with the blues. Same thing with every musical genre. We have created every musical genre, but we don't own next to none of it, And I have a poem out there also called Culture Vulture, which touches on this, everything you're talking about right now. If you get a chance, go to my YouTube page and check out Culture Vulture. But I'm just talking about how, this is hip hop and we created it, but we don't own nothing. We're not even at the table. We get labeled by the labels and we get made into whatever they want to for their own, financial purposes. So it's a shame that we don't own anything, even though we are creating, the majority of everything. So I just think that the only way we could change that is by learning lessons from the past, making plans in the present, moving forward to the future.
Yes, sir. Do you believe that some artists, they don't do that because they feel like they need those dollars to promote, because they feel like they couldn't necessarily do it themselves? Do you feel like that they need someone of today's culture, especially from someone who's potentially mainstream, so that other people could say, okay, I see him doing it, I could do this as well? Does the culture need that?
I mean, we can, as powerful of a people as we are, you know, we can do anything we put our minds to. You know, we have just been systematically taught to think that we need help doing things, you know, through all these welfare systems. And, you know, it's just like, if you know, the reason they tie a leash to a baby elephant, it ain't because that the leash can actually keep the elephant in its place, but they mentally, the elephant believes that it can't break the leash when it gets older because it's been trained that way. And it's the same thing with us as a people. They put that leash on us, you know, for who knows, 200 years now. They've been putting that leash on us, and we think that we are restrained to this certain area, but we're not, though. We have more power. We have the power to do whatever we want to do. We can break that leash easily and do our own thing. But it's just a systematic oppression that we have been succumbed to for so many years. But I believe in, you know, empowering ourselves. I believe in, you know, teaching the all the Kwanzaa lessons, man. All those things are very important, man. Just go check out the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and those, just incorporate those into our everyday life will help empower us. I have a tribe around me who we are all entrepreneurs. We all, and it takes a tribe, you know, like you said, we can't do everything by ourselves, but we can do everything with each other. You see what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's key. Because we have to, we need to support platforms like yourself better. You know what I mean? We need to uplift the people better. And I think Dr. Claude Anderson, supporting those things like that. So, but like when it comes to being conscious, like what is a good age to teach our young children to be conscious? Because like what Frederick Douglass said, it's easier to fix a child than to fix a broken man. What's a good age to teach about being proud of your Blackness and also building your community?
Well, it's all about maturation. You know, different people mature at different levels and speeds. So as soon as you can understand that this child can accept this lesson, you should teach the lesson right away. You know, so I don't think there's an age limit. I think it's an individual, you know, case by case scenario. So if you have a child, there's some children that learn how to spell before kindergarten, and there's some that take a little bit longer. So the same lessons apply with, you know, with any lesson you teach them. It's all based on the individual child. So as soon as you feel like they're able to accept the lesson and understand the lesson and internalize the lesson, you should definitely teach the child.
That's the truth. That's the truth. So what's the greatest decade for hip hop? What's the greatest decade? I gotta know.
The greatest decade is the 90s, man. The 90s is the illest. Okay. Oh my God. It was like you had to be good in the 90s. Like you couldn't even come out whack. You couldn't come out sounding like nobody else. You had to have your own style. You had to be dope or you would get laughed off stage. You had to have the whole package in the 90s. It wasn't, and in the early 90s, it wasn't even about the money or nothing. You had to have style and charisma. You know, you think about all the people who came out in the 90s and everybody supported each other. It was a beautiful decade, man. The 90s is my decade, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what are your personal keys to success, and what advice would you give to a young person who has the talent? Would you teach him or her to potentially go for that record deal or to be independent?
Like I say, case by case scenario, you know, all depends on what their goal is with their career. You know, what do they consider to be success? So my first bit of advice is always be yourself. Don't try to be somebody you're not, because people can see through fakeness easy. And then when you don't have no clout, no reputation, it's gonna be tough for you to sell because that's all. You're not really selling music. You're selling yourself. So when you're selling yourself, you have to be as authentic to yourself and to the people that you are trying to. Because music is therapy. You're trying to touch people. You're trying to give information to people. You're trying to it's sound is a vibration. You have, and it has to be a true vibration, or people they're gonna understand that the frequency is off. So first thing I would say is be yourself and know yourself, because you can't master anything until you first master yourself. So you have to actually know who you are and what kind of person you are before you can go out here and be in these rooms with people who will eat you up if you don't know about yourself or know what your limitations are or what you're willing to do or not do for money or for your integrity. So be yourself, know yourself, and then just be the best you can be, because it ain't about winning or losing. It's all about being your best, even though you might be on a stage with 3 other acts and you tried your very best, but even though you might not have killed that night, if you tried your very best, you didn't lose. You just had to learn from that situation. So just like I said, and then like I said, know what your success level is. If going for a record deal and being on whatever on all these platforms that they can put you on, and having a million fans, but still breaking bread 12,000 ways with all these different hands that are in your pocket with a record deal, is if that's important to you, instead of doing it yourself and making 100% with 300 true fans, you know what I mean? It's all about your level of success. Because to me, I'd rather have 300 true fans than 300,000 fake fans. You see what I mean? Because if you have, just think of the numbers. It's all numbers. Let's say you have 300 real fans. They spend $100 a month with you on whatever. Merchandise, shows. They just rock with you. On Patreon, whatever you do, they support you. You can make the same amount of money independently with 300 real fans as you can with 300,000 fake fans, making 1% on a stream, breaking bread with a record company. So it's all about what's important to you and are you willing to put in the work?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Last question. What is your favorite piece that you've written and performed with?
I haven't written it yet.
Ooh, I like it. Well, everybody, where can they find you on Instagram, Facebook, all that?
They can go to Linktree/Main and all my links are on there. So just go to the Linktree and you right, do the www.linktr.ee/Main and they can click on any of the links for all the social medias, the Facebook, the Instagrams. I got the YouTube journal there. They can check out some of my videos. I'm on there spitting poetry and I'm spitting bars. I got a mixtape I'm finishing up right now. Getting ready to drop a mixtape. There's some I'm getting ready to drop a full-length joint. Just got finished producing a movie with my brother Juma. So I got some irons in the fire right here, man. Getting ready to poke this flame, man, and start an inferno.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, Main Man, for your support. Everybody who's listening, please follow Main Man. He's doing big things. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother, for having me on your platform, man. Support this platform, people. Timothy McKain, we rocking.
Yes, sir. God bless.
Peace, peace.